Aloha, this is Ryan from Disruptarian Radio. It's the 4th of January 2020. Happy New Year. So, I have been contemplating running for office. And since I started contemplating this, I've released two messages about it that I'm not going to, at least not this year. I had actually made a promise to somebody that I would, and a few other people said they would support me, and I felt really bad in September when I decided that I wasn't going to. And then I toyed with it again. The New Year's coming up, and I've got a website for it and everything. I've got electryan.org, which is, one of like 35 of my websites. And I really thought I was going to do it. And for no other reason than to enter the debate, because I think that there's a lot of things that aren't being discussed that need to be discussed in these debates that a lot of these politicians will ignore. And if you don't stand up for your own rights, nobody's really going to do it for you. You might be able to put your faith in a politician and they may do 30% of the things that you like, but they're going to screw it up by doing 70% of the things that are counterproductive. Like in Hawaii, we got very high taxation, we've got very little representation, our politicians are all dirty and corrupt, they all have special interests. They're lining the pockets of their friends. You look at the rail project, the most expensive rail project in the world per capita at over $10,600 each person. So, you see that. You see our county council supporting the mob rule up on Mauna Kea with the protesters. Ashley Kirkowitz, I believe, and Matt, I can't remember his last name, in 5th District here. And they're just, pandering to the protesters because they see this as being a strong base for them. So instead of enforcing the rule of law or standing behind the rule of law or the Constitution or protecting anybody else's rights, they stand up for these protesters and this big mob that's illegally blocking a road and putting many people out of business, including tour guide companies, the TMT project, construction workers, union workers, tourists, that bring most of the money into our economy out of every industry, and then of course local residents. And so we've tried to stand up for our rights. I had a couple of people with me when we tried to open the road on December 14th, the Mauna Kea access road. We went up there and we demanded access. They wouldn't give it to us. The protesters said they would never let us in. And we went and talked to the officer down the road because they kept calling the police on us. They kept saying, "Oh, come on over, police," and wanting, to get us out of the way. The protesters did. So then we went and talked to the police and we're like, "Hey, we think that it's your duty to protect our constitutional rights." And he said, "No, go talk to the protesters, do what you got to do, but we can't help you." And we're like, "Yeah, but it's your duty to." And he's like, "No, you need to talk to the higher ups. You need to talk to Harry Kim, Governor Ige," which I did. I wrote them. I wrote the county council, the mayor's office, the governor's office, and I got a meeting scheduled with Mayor Kim. And then on the 19th, they decided, okay, we're going to open the road up after 5 months. And then Mayor Kim's office wrote and said, no, we're going to cancel the meeting. The point is moot because it's open now. The road's going to be open on the 26th of December. So that was us standing up for our rights, because nobody else was doing it. You can't depend on other people because it went 5 months with the government sitting on their hands and doing nothing. And I think we had a little bit to do with it, if not a lot. So that's why I thought that I would run for council. I knew I wasn't going to win. I know I'm not going to win, especially this year. I'm pretty new here. I don't have a lot of political connections. I don't have a lot of money. I don't have a lot of, background in politics, but I think these issues like, do you support the 30-meter telescope? Do you support the protesters? Do you support OHA getting general funds for their budget? Do you support DHHL getting general funds for their budget? Do you support free market business? Do you support the constitutional rights of all citizens? These are the things that I want to ask the county council members that are running. And my county council member, Ashley Kirkowitz, I want her to debate me on this and tell me her answers so that everybody knows where she stands, because it's hard to tell. Sometimes you feel like they're supporting the protesters, and then sometimes you kind of feel like they're not, like maybe they're supporting the rule of law, but it's hard to get a straight answer out of them. So the only way I could figure out doing that was running against them in this next county council election. But instead, and this is what I've said, and it got me some heat, I said, hey, I'm not going to worry about the TMT anymore. You know, they're fickle. They're saying they're going to wait till February, and then they're saying they don't have enough money, and then they're, you know, and who knows? Who knows with them? You know, they can fight their own battles. They've got a lot more power and strength and, you know, support than I do. So, I mean, if the protesters block the road again, or if they deny access to people and you know, infringe upon somebody's constitutional rights, you can be sure that I will be there to defend constitutional rights of permitted projects, whatever. But, you know, for the most part, there's nothing more we can really do. We've got the road open. The government has obligated themselves to defend the TMT. And so there's nothing more I can do for the TMT right now, except for support politicians that are going to enforce the rule of law and protect everybody's constitutional rights equally. You know, paying attention to the 14th Amendment. The little lower third here that I just put down, this was me standing up for Lavoy Finicum in Oregon when he was killed by FBI for simply having a gun. He didn't point it at anybody. He didn't even draw it. They shot him in cold blood, and I went out and defended his rights by taking a gun, a loaded gun, down to the Maine state capitol and doing a protest. I wasn't intending harm. I wasn't threatening. I went down there. I was confronted by 5 police officers. They asked me what I was doing. I told them. They agreed with me, and we shook hands and walked away friends. They could have taken me as a threat. They could have shot and killed me, just like they did Lavoy. But I stood up for his rights, or at least his memory, and the rights of others by standing up for my own rights. So you can't depend on politicians. They're fickle. They're biased. They've got special interests. They've got their hands in other people's pockets. And you never know where they're going to stand. So, you know, just because humans are flawed, I don't put my trust into other humans. I just don't. I really just, you know, stand up for my own rights. And in doing so, in standing up for the Constitution, I feel like I'm protecting the constitutional rights of everybody. You know, like right now, if it was me and my 2 friends that went up to Mauna Kea and worked on getting that road open, if it was us that opened that road, I mean, look, that wasn't just for me. Everybody's up there enjoying the mountain right now. Not just me, not just my friends, but, you know, the whole island and all the tourists and the companies that do tours up there and everything in the visitor center. I mean, people are back to work. So me standing up for my rights protected the rights of others. And that's my gig. It's not about, hey, you know, what am I going to get out of this for myself? You know, whatever. If I ever ran for political office, I mean, I wouldn't expect to win, but I would expect things to change. You know, just debating these politicians that are corrupt and, you know, you can't trust them and they don't ever give you a straight answer. Me being able to debate them, I would get a straight answer out of them. You know, you try to get a straight answer out of them. Even in these debates, when the audience is able to ask questions, listen to their answers. You know, they stay as on the middle of the fence as they can. They don't ever take a side if they don't have to. Or they take the most popular side possible, even if they know it's not a productive side of the fence. So, I mean, I just don't trust people, so I stand up for my own rights. Now, people accusing me of being self-centered for standing up for my own rights, I guess, sure. But I take my rights seriously, and I think everybody should. I encourage everybody to stand up for their own rights. As long as you're not infringing on anybody else's rights, I support you 100%. You can check out my website at electryan.org, and that's what this is all about. I made an acronym out of my name, Ryan, which means renew your activist spirit, right? And by that, I mean be an activist, you know, not support me, not depend on somebody else, but renew your activist spirit. Renew your activist nature. Getting tongue-tied today. I have been talking with people nonstop, being it's the new year, the election's coming up, the road just opened, TMT is acting fickle. They've got to go meet with the National Science Academy or whatever for funding on at the end of February anyway, because I guess they're short on funding and they don't have a bond, so you know they need all their money to start, you know, or else what if they don't finish? You know, if they don't have a bond, nothing's going to be able to restore the mountain to what it was, and nobody's going to be able to step in and finish it. So they, as far as I understand it, they don't have a bond and they don't have enough money to finish the project yet. So they're still trying to gather money. And I've been going nonstop with this. And finally, I'm just like, listen, it's not my affair to stand up for other people's rights, to defend other people. But if I defend my rights, then that will help others. Just like I believe it did with the opening of Mauna Kea Road. Me standing up for my rights helps others. And so that's all I can do. I can't fight other people's battles for them. The TMT's got to fight their own battles. The protesters got to fight their own battles. I got to fight my own battles. But if somebody infringes on my rights again on that Mauna Kea access road, I will be up there again to stand up for my rights, and I'll do whatever it takes to open that road up. So it may not be this year that I run for office. It may be 2 years down the road, but it depends on who gets elected and what happens. If nothing changes, somebody's got to do something. We got to get this going in the right direction. I recommend you look into Marissa Kearns. I believe she's going for Attorney General or maybe Secretary of State. I think she's changed on that. I'm not sure which one of those offices. I like her politics. I like her libertarian nature. And Eric Ryan, too. I'm not sure if he's running, but he leads some of these caucuses and things like that. He's deeply into the conservative side of the Republican movement in Hawaii. You got two sides. You've got the rhinos, Republican in name only. They act just like Democrats. Big spenders, help their friends out, screw the people. Then you've got the Republicans that are actually conservative and more libertarian, and they're trying to fight for constitutional rights. I support those people who fight for constitutional rights, not those people who are trying to line their friends' pockets. So look into those two. Like I say, they're good. As far as I'm concerned, they would do the best in this state to help everybody, get back to work, lower cost of living, maybe even fight back the Jones Act. Who knows? Check us out at disruptarian.com. Peace.